How long does it take to brew a lager? Lagers have some properties different from other beer types, and it's important to understand this to brew it correctly. Are lagers harder to brew? Overall, lagers are quite a bit harder to brew than most beers. Lagers require a specific temperature control and can be hard to achieve if you don't have the necessary tools to make sure the temperature is just right to make sure they ferment and age properly. Many lagers also require a whole new process during mashing, where some of the mash is taken out and heated and then returned to the mash, adding more time to the brewing process. Even larger breweries are quite hesitant to brew lagers since they generally don't make as much money as other beer types. Be prepared to spend a lot of extra time and money if you're aiming to make lagers, and be ready for failure. The hardest part of brewing lagers is to give it the time it needs. It can be quite hard to know when to move to the next step in the brewing process, so once again, do some research and find out what has worked for others. However, once you've mastered the brewing of lagers, you have some bragging rights, since it is a hard beer type to pull off, especially as a home brewer. So how long does it take to brew a lager? A typical ale can be enjoyed just 2 to 3 weeks after starting the brewing process, but lagers take multiple weeks or even months depending on the type. The main reason for this is that lagers still use the old method of cold fermentation. When yeast gets cold, it slows down and does its job of turning sugar into alcohol slower. This results in way longer fermentation times and also affects the taste, aroma, and overall body of the beer. You can compare lagers a bit to wines in terms of how long it takes to make them. The actual brewing process takes anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, depending on whether or not you use secondary fermentation. The aging process. The real kicker in terms of how long it takes before you enjoy your lager is the aging process. The overall rule of thumb for aging lagers is to age it at a minimum of 4 weeks before it is even consumable. However, if you ask any home brewing forum, they'll probably tell you that this time is more in the lines of 6 weeks, but the longer you age it, the better. Aging your lager for longer periods of time will give you a better taste experience in general, and is definitely recommended if you have the patience. Conclusion: how long does it take for a lager? It can take anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks or even longer to fully brew from start to finish. It's important to age lager, since this is what gives the iconic flavor and crispness which it's famous for. Ready for the challenge? Good luck! Subscribe to Homebrew Advice on YouTube for more informational videos in the future.